Welcome to the Accomplish More podcast, created specifically for the small business owner who doesn't think small. I'm your host, Gayla Scrivener. This show is where you'll learn practical ideas, hints, tips, and tricks to help you grow your small business where you can leverage your time and to accomplish more. Hello, and welcome to episode 21 of the Accomplish More podcast. I'm Gayla Scrivener, and I thank you for joining me today. You know, in every business, there comes a time where we must get help. There comes a point that you realize that in order to see significant growth in your business, you can't do everything yourself. You realize that you need to carefully build your team. Things evolve as you learn how you want things done, and you develop your processes so you make progress in the growth of your business. For me, things certainly are much different in my business now than they were 5 years ago. Back then, it was just me doing everything. Back then, I scrambled at creating systems and routine. I had managed and ran many offices in my career, but the biggest difference in working for another company and running my own business is that systems were in place. Especially when you work for bigger companies, the rules of how things should be done are already set and in place. You learn and you conform to the organization's style and culture to succeed. But when you create your own business out of thin air, you are starting from scratch. The wonderful thing is that you create your own rules and processes. Yet, the downside is that you must create your own rules and processes. Creating everything from scratch takes a lot of self-discipline. You must figure things out for yourself, try new things, learn new things, and find the things that work best for you. You have the wonderful opportunity in creating a company culture you want and achieve the profits you desire, whether you want to create a big team or a small one. Your team will be the largest investment you will make in your business. Learning what you can let go and get help where you need it, and what you should do yourself is always evolving. Last week, I went over what types of tasks that are perfect to delegate. Today, I'm going to talk about the flip side of that. Let's talk about what you shouldn't delegate. In the midst of your busy schedule, sometimes things come up that you and only you must do. These may be things that you really don't want to do, you aren't good at, or don't have the expertise to do well, yet you must do them yourself. It's always easy to say, do what you do best and delegate the rest, but that cannot always be the case. As you move from working in your business to bringing on team members so that you can accomplish more, leverage your time, and grow your business, you must transition into a leader. As a leader, you delegate to leverage your time, but you cannot delegate everything. There are 5 major areas that you shouldn't delegate. So let's dive right in, shall we? The first thing you should not delegate is something that's classified as a crisis situation. Usually, a real crisis may need your authority or expertise to resolve. Do not pass this obligation on to someone who doesn't have the proper background to resolve the issue. You are the only one who knows your business better than anyone else. You are ultimately responsible, and if a situation comes up that may be stressful or uncomfortable, it's up to you to handle it. This may involve a customer service situation, for example. You may have someone that, for the most part, can handle everyday customer service issues. You have created policies, and you have certain procedures, but there will be times that someone is unhappy and no one on your team can resolve the issue. Sometimes just talking with the owner just helps with the situation. At the very least, you have the authority to do what you think is right to resolve the issue. After all, it's your company. You make up the rules. There may be times that you and only you can do the job even though you may not like doing it. For me, I'll give you this example. I don't like to do anything or deal with anything that has to do with taxes. And for some reason, especially payroll tax issues, I just hate the process of obtaining the right numbers or doing any correspondence that may come from the state. I have no idea why. It's not a hard process. I just don't like dealing with it. I delegate all my payroll processing to Gusto.com. They are an online payroll company that makes things super easy and is affordable for me. You can get a link to their website over in the show notes. Even though things run smoothly 99% of the time, there are times that questions come up that only I can deal with. For example, there was a bit of confusion with the state when I changed my company from a sole proprietor to an LLC. My first quarter filing got confused at the state level. I received letters and I did not want to deal with them. I was just too busy. What I really wanted was someone else to deal with it so that the problem could just magically go away. So I sent the letters to Gusto hoping they could just handle it. Honestly, I got agitated because things didn't get straightened out, and I had to deal with it in the end. And you know what? There was absolutely no reason why I should have gotten irritated. I simply had to give the state a call and ask what I needed to do. I was genuinely confused on what the process was and what I needed to do to make sure my payments were getting applied properly. Everyone at the state I spoke to was super nice, and they told me exactly what I needed to do. But here's the thing. They had to talk to me. They wouldn't make any changes or talk with anyone else because they didn't have authority to talk to anyone else about my account. This example wasn't a crisis situation by any means, but simply a matter of me being the only one in my small company with the authority to resolve the issue. By trying to delegate it because of this self-imposed mind block when it comes to anything dealing with taxes, is just not the right thing to do. Even though I don't like the task, it's something that just cannot be delegated. Another example, I had a friend that went through an embezzlement issue with an employee. It was a terrible situation. And what happened was my friend's employee ended up forging his signature on some checks to herself and some of her friends. He learned a lesson the hard way. You see, in his busy schedule, he started delegating too much of the financial stuff without any checks and balances in place. That was part of the problem. But then, when the crisis came up of discovering the forged checks and how to deal with that, my friend had to stop everything and just do it. He didn't want to have to take time out of his busy day, and I ended up helping him along the way, but he had to be there. I think I was helping him more for moral support than anything else. I called the bank for him while he was sitting right next to me and asked what we needed to do. Once we got to the fraud department, then my friend got on the phone and answered their questions. I went with him to the bank to fill out the affidavit, paperwork, and then file a police report. There was no way I could have done all that for him. I didn't have the authority, nor would I have wanted that kind of authority. He was the one that had to go through the process of resolving it. I was there to kind of help him through, kind of hold his hand, I guess, if you want to say that. And that's okay to have. You have to stop and resolve it. When a sticky situation arises, as they will happen from time to time, don't put any of your teammates into a position of trying to resolve the issue for you just because you want to avoid it. Don't delegate the job. Resolve it yourself. More times than not, you'll find that if you face the challenge head on, you'll save a lot of time and energy. The next thing that you should not delegate are unclear tasks. Make sure that the person you delegate a task understands what the task is. Ill-defined tasks cause people to waste a lot of time. There will be times that you'll want to delegate something, but you don't have a clear picture of how you want to go about it or what the outcome should be. What ends up happening is that you and your team member becomes frustrated. As much as you wish it, People cannot read your mind. No matter how cool it would be to have a vague idea of what you want and your assistant would be able to pick up on that vibe and just make it happen, that would be cool. It just doesn't happen. So when you delegate a task and you become frustrated with the results, you need to be honest with yourself and evaluate how you have defined that task. I had this client that I found very difficult to work with. He was extremely nice, but his communication simply wasn't clear. Every time I would meet with him, I was more confused as to what he wanted done at the end of the meeting than when I arrived. I usually don't have this problem because I can follow directions pretty well. But in this case, I really had no idea of what his directions were. Being the people pleaser I am, I tried very hard to do what I thought he wanted. Sometimes I guessed right, and sometimes we'd go in a different direction. We'd go down rabbit trails and go here and there. It was just difficult. I felt like I wasn't accomplishing anything for him. One time, he wanted me to do a research project, getting names and addresses for a mail campaign. I started the project based on what I thought he wanted. The criteria of who to research just didn't seem clear to me. When I showed him the initial work and he wasn't sure that that was what he really wanted, I asked him what his strategy and what he was wanting to say in the mail campaign was. He didn't know. He didn't have a strategy yet. He just knew he needed a mailing list. I put my consulting hat on and we had a discussion of making a plan for his marketing campaign. When you aren't clear with your project or how you want a process to happen, you will waste time and resources. It's well worth it to map out how you'd like things to be. You may think that everyone should just know what your priorities and your timetables are, but they don't. I've worked with many individuals that have different things that are important to them. Their priorities are different than what I might think they should be. It's a learning curve. Don't be frustrated when you are training your teammate your style of how you want things done. It takes time for them to get to know you and the way that you like things done. It takes time to learn your style and how you want your organization's atmosphere to be. Now, I'm a visual person, and I like to show my team, or even my clients for that matter, what I'm talking about through images. If I'm doing a cheat sheet or something, I often put print screen images with the steps. But more often lately, for the past 3 or 4 years, I like to do a quick video. Most of what I delegate to my team or what I'm showing my clients is how to use some sort of software. I like to show my screen and explain what buttons to push and the flow of the steps I'd like followed. The quickest and easiest way to do this is to use a screen recording software. There are several options out there, but I like to use Screencast-O-Matic. The link will be in the show notes. But this is a free version. Screencast-O-Matic has a free version that allows you to record up to 15-minute clips. It keeps their watermark on the screen for the free version, but why should that matter if it's used in internal training videos? The paid version has more editing capabilities and no watermarks and is super affordable. For training videos, I never really edit. My team will listen to me stumble or say off-the-wall comments as I show them what I'd like done on a project. This has become a great communication tool. It certainly helps since we are all scattered in different areas and work different hours. I've even encouraged our clients to use the tool so they can help us understand their expectations. For many visual people, it's quicker to do a video and show what you want done than to type up an instructional checklist. Oh, and you know what the best part is? You can record the instructions on a process and delegate to your virtual assistant typing up the SOP. That's super cool. It's important to have a library of SOPs so when turnover happens, you have the processes all typed out and even recorded. I don't have an affiliate link with Screencast-O-Matic, nor are they a sponsor. I just like to use it, and I use it a lot. I'll be completely honest with you. There are going to be times where you don't have a clear direction on something and you must go through some trial and error to make some decisions. I've delegated some things, and once done, I totally reworked them. I gave little direction, and I certainly wasn't clear about what I had in mind for the outcomes. It delayed the completion of the project and left my teammate feeling disappointed that they didn't feel like they did a good job. But that was on the contrary. Their work gave me ideas on the direction I really wanted to go. It wasn't at all that they didn't do a good job. It was me. It was all me, not being clear as to what I wanted. As your teammates become more familiar with your style and how you like things done, soon it will seem like they can read your mind. But always remember, they can't. With practice, you will better define the tasks you want delegated. The third thing that you should never delegate are confidential matters. Leaders must deal with confidential matters sometimes. Do not delegate these tasks to others because you'll lose the trust of your team. As your team grows, there will be things that come up that should not be shared, whether it's something with a client or another team member. If it's confidential, keep it that way. There have been a few things that my clients have told me in confidence, and I'll keep it that way. It's not anything that my team would need to know to help accomplish a task. Therefore, there's no reason to say anything. The fourth thing that you should never delegate is praise or reprimand. Take time out to praise a teammate for a job well done. It's often said that you should praise in public. You can show your appreciation in a variety of ways, and you can delegate some of those things. Things like thank you cards or gifts are nice, and yes, the act of writing a thank you card or sending a gift can be delegated. When you're working with someone and you know they've done a job well done, don't have someone else tell them through the grapevine. When the words of appreciation come out of your mouth, it really holds a lot of value. If a team member needs guidance or reprimanded or just a little help getting back on track, it is best if you deal with the person yourself and in private. I've been talking about this very subject with my daughter lately. In her job, there's things going on with one of her teammates, and she feels like nothing's being done. She knows that even if her boss addresses the issue, she may never know because reprimands are done in private. You never want to call someone out in public. A private discussion is in order to allow for training, guidance, and if necessary, disciplinary action. Now, you are listening to this podcast, so chances are you are a solopreneur just beginning forming your team or someone with a small business with a little team. So it's up to you to do all the training and give feedback as to what your expectations are. The fifth thing that you should never delegate is planning and development of your business. Planning and strategizing are your job as a leader. Do not delegate the control of your business, and remember, you are ultimately responsible for your business success or failure. If you grow your company large enough to have departments and a hierarchy, there will be levels of authority and delegation apparent. You will have middle management to have fewer points of contact so you can manage it better. But you are a small business. You won't have middle management. It's up to you to plan the development of your whole team. I've worked with some individuals who just want all the stress to go away and want to delegate everything. One time I met with this lady who wanted my virtual assistant services. At least she thought she wanted my VA services. During the conversation, she listed out the things she wanted and didn't want to do. What it boiled down to, she basically wanted someone to tell her what to do and when to do it. She did not know where to start in running her newly founded business. Now, I may have been a little bit mean when I said to her that she needed to apply for a job and not run a business. I wasn't there to run her business. You can't delegate out that piece. I must have worded it okay without being too snarky because she took it very well. Planning and strategizing for your business should be a top priority. You are the one who knows what direction you'd like to go. You delegate the tasks that allow you more time to plan and strategize. Starting out small and delegating the seemingly little things makes room in not only your schedule, but in your mind to plan for the future. You see, when you are way too overwhelmed to see straight, you can't plan for the future. Your business will either stay the same or deteriorate. There's only so long that you can stay in a state of overwhelm before you get burnt out. Delegate the right things to open your mind and schedule up to work on your business instead of in your business. Remember to hop over to Scrivener Solutions website for a list of 50 ideas perfect to delegate. The link is scrivenersolutions.com/50 ideas. That's Scrivener, SCRIVENER, solutions.com/50 ideas. You can also get the link in the show notes. For as much as I am an advocate of delegation to increase productivity, your self-discipline in learning and creating processes cannot be delegated. So let's recap the 5 things you should never delegate. Number 1, crisis situations. Number 2, unclear tasks. Number 3, things that are confidential. Number 4, praise and reprimand. And number 5, planning and strategy. I hope you enjoyed today's show and found it helpful. I'd be honored if you'd subscribe on iTunes and leave a comment. You can always send questions and comments to podcast@scrivenersolutions.com. That's podcast at SCRIVENER solutions.com. Now don't forget to go over and download your free checklist by going to scrivenersolutions.com/50 ideas. Until next time, have a fantastic week.